Sally, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of outline the scope of today and what everyone can expect.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robbie. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be very respectful of your time today. We are doing this a little bit differently, so forgive me if I get, if I make a couple of mistakes here and there. We are actually live on Facebook. I've never done that before, so yay me. So if you're watching on Facebook, thank you for joining us. And if you are joining us for the first time and you're new to PSTrax, we're excited to have you. Thank you for sitting in with us. If you are current clients, if you currently work with PSTrax, I'm excited that you're here as well. We're going to be touching on a few new things this morning. We are going to give a little more attention, like I mentioned earlier, like Robbie mentioned earlier, to the COVID-19 checklist. If you're currently tracking that in one form or another, we will be asking you how that's working for you also, as well as we go through this. So I want to go ahead and get started. I do want to be respectful of your time, but one other thing that I want to say, and I know I'm speaking for everybody here at PSTrax, we know how hard you all are working right now, even more so than you normally do. With this pandemic, we know that it is impacting lives in ways that Robbie and I hear every day. There are days where we hear really amazing stories of people pulling through COVID-19 that you know personally, and we're hearing sad stories as well. So we are eternally grateful for everything that you guys are doing. So please understand that that we can't thank you enough, and that our goal here at PSTrax obviously is to be able to help you in any way that we can, fight the battle as well. So just on a personal note from Robbie and I, thank you so much, and everybody here at PSTrax. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who are not familiar with the platform, and I'm looking at a screen over here because I've got two monitors, so I will try to remember to look back this way as well, so I'm not ignoring you. But for those of you who are new, I do want to give a little bit of background on PSTrax, just so that you kind of, where we're coming from and understand why we do what we do. For those of you who are current users, this will be a little refresher for you guys. So couple of things. Let's go back to the screen here. We are going to touch on all 6 modules today. This is going to be a very high level overview of the platform. If at the end of this you would like more information on any of the modules specifically, let myself or Robbie know. You can type it in the chat. You can respond on Facebook if you're joining us that way. Let us know and we'll be happy to get you some information. We are also recording this this webinar today, so you can also ask for a recording of this afterwards if you would like. But like I said, we are going to touch on all 6 modules. So we're going to be looking at our vehicle module, SCBA, PPE, critical assets, controlled substance, and stations. And I'm hoping that everybody can still see my screen. Robbie, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we're good to go, Sally.
Okay, excellent, excellent, perfect. All right, just want to make sure. So little bit of background on PSTrax here. PSTrax is short for Public Safety Tracking Systems, and we've been in business for 11 years now. So we've been doing this for quite a while. This is our specialty. This is our area of expertise. So we're located right here in Littleton, Colorado. It's about 10 miles south of Denver. If any of you have been out this way or familiar with this area, that's where we're located. Most of our team is located right here in Colorado. And so we're really excited to all be able to be in the same building together, especially during this pandemic. We've actually been able to come back into the office, so that's been exciting for us. One thing I do want to touch on is that we recognize that 80% of the agencies that we work with, and we do work with mostly fire departments and EMS departments, but we also work in the private sector as well. We did realize a while ago that there is a need for that. So if you're joining us from the private sector, awesome, we'll be able to help you on that end as well. So but like I was going to say, 80% of the departments that we work with or agencies that we work with are still on paper. So don't feel alone in that. We have found that that's one of the biggest needs now. That's why we're here, is to help people come off of that kind of inefficient way of tracking things, take you off of paper and take you into a platform that is able to find the information you need, pull reports easily, and document the information you need in a really efficient way. one of the things that we learned really early on when we developed this platform, our first department was up in Black Hawk, Colorado. Actually, the owner's daughter is the one that got us started with this. She was a fire medic up in Black Hawk, and she was doing her checks on paper, most similarly to a majority of the way you guys are doing it. And she reached out to her dad, who's the owner, and said, you know what, Dad, there's got to be a better way to do this. This is just inefficient. It's cumbersome. We're not able to track things. Can you help us with this? So 11 years later, here we are with the platform that we've developed. When we shared this with Black Hawk and they started using it, they loved it. They encouraged us to go around the Denver metro area and share it with other departments. So we did. And what we found out very quickly, and you all can attest to this, none of you guys do it the same anywhere across the board. You all have different naming conventions, different internal policies and procedures, different ways that you like to do things. So when we started sharing it with other departments, people were saying, well, that might have been great for your first department that you built it for, but it doesn't work for us. So we kind of had to go back to the drawing board. And what the owner decided at that point in time was that whatever we did for you needed to meet your needs. So we decided at that time to make the platform completely customizable. And those of you who are using us can attest to this. It is going to match what your specific department needs. So if you like a specific order, the way things are in, if you have different internal policies and procedures that you want us to follow in addition to the NFPA guidelines that we follow for you, you just need to let us know that and we'll build it to meet your needs. That's the other thing that we do that sets us apart. We will build the platform for you, okay? So this is not another project that you have to figure out, your crew has to figure out how to take on themselves, all right? You basically give us, you know, your information, whether it's handwritten on an Excel spreadsheet, in a PDF or Word format. You give that information to us, and then we take that information, we build it from the ground up so that it looks exactly the way you want it to look. It's in the order you want it in. That also, it guarantees that we can put the information in. The information that's going in is going in cleanly, okay? So we know that it's gonna, you know, everything's gonna be spelled correctly. It's gonna be exactly the way you want it to look. With that, though, we can also then guarantee that it gets rolled out, okay? One of the things we hear very commonly is the challenge of shelfware. So basically buying some sort of a platform and then it never gets built, it never gets rolled out because nobody has time to do that. We have a staff on site here in Littleton, and that is their sole purpose in life, is to make sure that they build it for you from the ground up. That way it gets rolled out, we can get you trained on it, and everything is effective. So we want to make sure you're using what we're putting together for you. So keep that in mind as we're going through this together. So what we're going to touch on today, like I said earlier, is we're going to go over the 6 different modules that we have here, and we're also going to focus on our, the one you don't see on here, the COVID-19 checklist that we have. And we're going to give that a little more attention just because of what we're facing in our society today. If you currently have that checklist through us, wonderful. I'd love your feedback on it. It is free to anybody that is a current user of ours. So it doesn't matter if you have 1 module or all 6 modules. If you don't currently have it and you think it would be beneficial to you after we go through that, let myself know, let Robbie know, and we'll make sure that we get our team right on that. We'll get that set up for you. I'd like to have that for you by the end of today. So keep that in mind as well. But we will touch on all the other modules. Like I said, it'll be a very high overview of them. For those of you who are not familiar with us, you do have the ability to pick and choose between the modules. So if you decide at the end of this, wow, Sally, this was all great, but gosh, we got to get a handle on our vehicles. Can we start there? Absolutely. Start with whatever makes the most sense for your department. All the modules, with the exception of the controlled substance module, do function very similarly, even the COVID-19 checklist. They all function very similarly. So whether we're talking about doing setting an alert, doing your checks, running reports, things like that, they all function the same way. couple other things that are really important. This is not an app, everyone. This is a cloud-based platform, and there's a couple of reasons we went that route. Number one, and boy, the feedback we get from our departments on this is huge. Number one, you can have multiple people doing checks all at the same time. Okay, so you can have 2, 3, 4 people out on your rigs, and they can be knocking those checks off in real time, and it's not going to slow the system down. Also, because it's not an app, you don't have any user license fees, so you can have as many people using this as you want. So you can have your entire crew. If you have vendors for your PPE repairs or cleanings, or maybe you've got, you know, a recall issue happening with one of your rigs and you want to notify that particular individual as well, we can include them in those alerts and notifications. Also, it doesn't slow down, so everything comes off in real time. So like I said, no matter how many users you have, it just keeps, it rolls. Everything rolls off in real time, and it doesn't slow the system down. This does work with any device that has internet. So whether your crew decides to use their phone, which I would say, now we don't tell crews they have to use their phone to do their checks, but you all know as well as I do, the reality is they'll have one on them at all times. So if they're going to be using it, they can certainly use that for this. And because it's not an app, it's not going to take up any data or storage on any of their personal devices that they're using. But you can also use an iPad, Toughbook, you know, personal laptop, computer, whatever works the best for you, and it will work on any of those devices. It is a cloud-based data that belongs to you. So if in the future, for any reason, you can't stay with us anymore, you will always have access to your archived information. It belongs to you. You can get in the back end and retrieve that information at any time that you might need that. We talked about it being built to your exact specifications. This is really important. You can make adjustments within the system, or we can do it for you, all right? So we have another team here on site who, that's all they do all day long, is they make adjustments for our agencies within the system. So we know that in every agency, there might be a handful of people that really love technology, and maybe those of you who are joining us today are those people. If you have a team like that, we will be happy to teach them how to navigate the back end of the system, all right, and make those changes themselves. I'm surprised to find out that some of the departments that I still speak with who are current clients of ours don't understand that if, though, you don't have somebody that can do that for you, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. That team that's what they do, is they help make those changes within the system. So if you need help with something, if you don't have 5 more minutes in your day to make those changes yourself, then you reach out to us. You can call us, email us, whatever's easiest, and we will have somebody make those changes for you. I am always asked, how often can you reach out to us, and is there a fee associated with that? That's another thing that separates us. There is no fee for that. You can reach out every day if you want. You can email me 10 times a day, or call me, or whatever you need. That's all part of our annual license fee. So reach out as often as you need to. We are here to help you. We want you to be successful with the platform. So if you need our help, by all means, please reach out to us. The platform does mobily optimize to fit whatever device you're using. This is just a screenshot example of another department's home screen. Just want to show you real quickly here, and then we're gonna move on. But this is the schedule of items that are due for the day here. Again, if you're not using one of these items, it's not going to show, or one of the modules, it's not going to show up here. You can have these in whatever order you want them in, whatever naming conventions you use. This is just an example here. Now, these are the alerts. This is really the backbone of the platform, everyone. This is what keeps everybody on the same page. So, you know, if there's something broken, missing, you go out on a call and you know, something gets left back on scene and you need to identify that. This is what's going to help you with that. It's going to replace all those sticky notes or emails that you may currently be using to notify each other of what's going on. And then this is our journal. Our departments love this. This is one of the newer features on the platform. If you're not currently using it and you are a current client of ours, talk to us about this. Let's get this up and going for you. I kind of liken this to a virtual whiteboard, okay? So we see all kinds of things come across the journal. Maybe there's some in-station trainings, or if we ever get back to some sense of normalcy, maybe you'll have school tours again coming through, or you'll be going to schools and doing things, and you want to notify people of that. Or you have a PPE vendor coming in to do some cleaning or checks. This is another great way to keep those lines of communication open. We know how busy you all are, and sometimes this is just another great way to kind of let everybody know what's going on. This can be station specific, or it can also be department wide, and we'll talk about that here in a second. I want to touch on the alerts really quickly. I'm watching my time here, just want to make sure we're on track. So again, this is not an app. This is simply an icon that we're going to teach you how to put on whatever device you're currently using. Everybody's going to have a unique username and password. You're going to go ahead and log into the system. This is just an example on a phone what this would look like. So if everything looks good, they're going to mark it in green. If there's any issues, they're going to mark it in red. That's going to start the alert portion of the platform there. Anything that you see with a red highlighted box around it, that's going to be a required note. You can have required notes on anything and everything within the system. So basically, if you don't want them to just kind of skip over something really quickly, they can go ahead, you can enable this required note feature, and they're going to have to type something in there or put something in there. Because if they don't and they try to log the items, it's going to give them a hard stop and make them go back and fill that in. The other thing that our agencies love is that you can also take a picture of the problem and attach it to that alert. All right, this was actually our first department's idea. They were like, wouldn't it be great if instead of typing everything out, we could just take a picture of the issue and attach it to that alert. So thank you, Blackhawk, for that idea. So about 10 years ago, our developers implemented this. So you can take a picture of whatever the issue is and attach it to that alert. Now that picture is going to stay with that alert indefinitely. So even after the alert's been closed off and put into the archives, if in the future you need to pull this information back up, you're going to be able to pull those pictures back up with it as well. One more thing on the alert feature, and then I'm going to take us into our demo site here, everyone. So again, here we see that this is looking good. It's marked in green. Maybe, you know, we added a little bit of air here, but here we see we have a flat tire. So now that this alert is being set, what's going to happen is this alert is either going to text, email, or both off to the appropriate person or group of people, okay? So like I was mentioning earlier, let's say you have somebody in charge of PPE repairs or cleanings, and you need to notify them of an issue, okay, maybe a COVID exposure issue or something, and they need to get in there and handle that. They can be notified. You know, some chiefs in some of our departments want to see every alert that comes through the system. This is not something I would recommend. However, if that's how you want it set up, what we ask everybody to do is look at what your internal policies and procedures are now, and whoever is currently notified for each area, that's how we'll set it up in the system for you. So just kind of think of that in advance, and we can get that set up for you. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring over our demo site. I'm going to go ahead and blow this up for us. Okay. So I've got this blown up. Now, if it were on their phone, you know, it would look more like this. They could swipe up and down, scroll up and down for that. For this, though, I want to blow it up so you can see exactly what it looks like on your screen there. I'm going to go ahead and sign into the site using my username and password. So what's important to keep in mind here is now I'm signed in under my username and password. So everything that I'm doing within the system is going to be tied to me. All right. So any checks that I do, any alerts that I make within the system are now linked to my name. So there's a lot of accountability there. Also, everything within the system is date and time stamped. All right. So let's look at this together. Here's our schedule of items that are due for the day. Again, you can have these in whatever order you want them in. Your naming conventions are going to be specific to you. If you're not using one of these, like station inventories or whatever, it's not going to show up here. It also won't show up in the drop-down menu over here either. Now, here are our alerts on our demo site. We have our alerts set up to stay on here for 14 days. That's customizable as well. You can have these on here 10 days, 32 days, 180 days, whatever makes the most sense. We have other departments that anything that's marked urgent, they want to have left on here indefinitely until whoever is appropriate to close those off can close those off. And then here's our journal, like I was talking about a little bit earlier. So you can see some of the different things we have here. We've got a training. Here we did the PSTrax webinar is today, so you know, everybody's free to join. If I were to add a post really quickly, these are some of the most popular categories we see across the board. But again, you can have whatever you want, whatever makes the most sense for your agency can be right in here. So you can see some of the ones that we have here. You would put your notes in if you wanted to add an attachment or a link to maybe some training website, or maybe there's a picture of something you want to attach in here. You can do that as well. Like I said, you can make it station specific or department wide, whatever makes the most sense. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the journal. If you're not currently using it and you are a current client, let us know and we'll get you going on that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like in the day in the life of a crew member. All right, we're going to do some checks real quick here. We're going to start with the vehicle module, because once you learn the vehicle module, since they all mirror each other, everything else falls into place. All the other modules function very similarly to that. So I'm going to start with the vehicle module so you can see what that looks like. We're going to do some checks. We're going to set an alert and we're going to move on. And the reason I do it that way is because I want you to see how simple it is and how user-friendly it is for your staff, your crew, whoever might be using it. I want you to see how easy it is for them to navigate the system. So let's start there. We'll go ahead and start with engine 1, and we're going to go into the items that are due for the day. Now, a couple of the newer features for those of you who are current users that I want to point out to you. I want to point out a couple of things here while we're in this area. First of all, it's very important to keep in mind that your staff or your crew is never going to have to guess what's due for the day. When you have us build this and set it up for you, we ask you, what do you want done daily, weekly, monthly? And then we set it up that way. That way, when staff or your crew is logging in here, they know that today, these are my daily checks that are due. These are my weekly checks that are due. Maybe there's going to be some monthly checks that are due today, but they're going to know exactly what's due to be checked. So they just go through, they do their checks per what's set up by you guys. The other thing I want you to see is anywhere that you see a little eyeball, if we click on that eyeball, that's going to give you a quick recent task history. So you're going to be able to see who did what over the last 5 checks that were done. Anywhere you see a pencil, that's going to give you a little drop down to put some notes in there. Anywhere that you see a little paper clip, all right, this is some of our, especially our volunteer departments love this. You can attach training resources within the system. So maybe, you know, you want to attach a video on how to do something. Maybe you want to attach a picture. Like if we go in here, here's a picture of the dashboard and the gauges. Just kind of, we know, especially nowadays, people are very visual. And so to be able to see a picture to kind of guide you, or to be able to see a video of something, you know, like here's how to check the hub oil level, everybody. They can click into this video, have a quick reminder of how to do that. That way they're not skipping over the check, which we hear quite frequently, or they're wasting time trying to ask for help. They can just go right in here and do this. A lot of our agencies and departments will actually attach pictures of how a specific compartment on that vehicle looks. So they can just look right at that and they can say, yep, that's exactly how everything goes back. You can't just throw everything in there. It goes back just like this. And so that's another really great tool. If you're not currently using that, let's get you set up with that as well. Here we see our red highlighted box, so we know that's going to be a required note if we opt to check that one. And the last feature I want to show you is this little red bell. All right, so what we were asked frequently was, if the crew members are going through and they're doing their checks, how are they going to know if an alert's already been set on that? I don't want to get a million alerts about that. Well, anywhere that you see a little red bell, that means an alert has already been set on that. So the crew can quickly click on that and they can see right here, oh, yep, they've already identified, Dave has already identified, you know, that there's some body damage here. And it looks like the repairs are supposed to be completed by August 5th. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to, you know, identify that another alert needs to be set. I can just do my checks as normal. So those are, and that's one of our newer features as well. So for those of you who've been asking for that, there you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through, I'm going to do a few checks as a crew member. So let's do this. But let's say here, I see an oil leak. All right. I'm going to set an alert. And here it prompts me to enter a note. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a note. I'm just going to say oil leak. All right. And what we encourage everybody to do as they're doing their checks is to log your checked items frequently as you're doing them. Because sometimes as you're going through your checks, you might get called out on a call, right? So you want to make sure you're logging your items frequently as you're doing your checks. So maybe do 5 or 6 of them, log them, do the next 5 or 6, log them. That way they're keeping track of those. So let's go ahead and log these items. And it's going to take us to a confirmation screen just to verify that everything that we just checked is exactly what we wanted to take care of. But because we've set this alert here, everyone, once I log these tasks here, it's going to take me into an alert confirmation screen. All right. So what I want you to see here is this category is going to be the identifying factor of who your alert recipients are. So remember how I said to you earlier, you know, you really want to identify who those people are going to be that are going to need to be responsible for each area. So right here, we've got vehicle maintenance marked. So right down here, all of these are required people who opted to be the ones to receive any vehicle maintenance alerts, okay? We also have some optional people here. So like I was saying earlier, you know, here's our vehicle warranty, here's our vendor, maybe we need to notify them. You know, here's our little virtual maintenance shop that's going to get notified. But maybe there's somebody on here that really never needs to know about this particular issue except for today. Today you want them to know about it. And this was a huge request, and this is a new feature as well. You can have additional recipients right here. So we can click on that, and now it's going to give us a link to our entire crew, our staff, whatever, and we can go through and go, yep, Linda actually needs to know about this today. She doesn't usually need to know, but I need her to know today. We can go ahead and add her as one of the recipients, all right? But if I change this category from vehicle maintenance to like building and grounds, let's say, now you can see right down here my alert recipients have changed, okay? So again, this is based on who needs to know. You tell us who needs to know in each area and who's responsible for taking care of those alerts, and that's how we'll set it up for you. But let's go back here and we'll go back to our vehicle maintenance. Here's our description. Here we have the opportunity to mark it routine or urgent. Say it's pretty urgent here. Here's where we're going to attach that picture. Okay, now this functionality is the same as attaching a picture to a text or an email. So we're going to go in here. I want you to just use your imagination because we are on my desktop. So we'll just kind of go into my pictures here. But they could take that picture, attach that right there, or maybe there's a specific link that you know you want something to be ordered, a part to be ordered from, and you want to attach that in here at this time. You can do that as well. You can attach a cost if you are, you know, preemptively know what that might look like. We're going to set this alert. And then what I want you to see is not only does it show up here as we go back to our check screen, not only does it show up here, but it's also going to show up on our home screen. So as people are coming in for the day, they might walk in the bay and they look down, they're like, uh-oh, I see a leak under engine 1. They can look right over here and they can say, oh, but looks like Sally has already identified that. They can click on this paperclip. Yep, there's the picture. That's exactly what I'm seeing. I don't need to identify that again. It looks like it's being handled. Now, as a crew member or as a staff, I am now done. I've done my checks. I've set my alert. I can now move on for the day, okay? And we hear over and over how user-friendly this platform is. So for them, they're done, all right? But let's say I'm one of the people that received this alert. I can go right in here. I can add a comment. And I can say, thanks, we'll work on it this afternoon, we'll just say. So I can add my comment there. Maybe there's a invoice that I've started and I want to scan that in at this point, I can do that. Here we can close it if it's handled, but it hasn't been handled yet, so we're going to leave it open. And here we have the opportunity to send notification to that same group of people or not. Now, I always recommend that at least for these initial steps in this, that you notify everybody so that they can see that there's progress being made and they can follow that progress. So we're going to say, yes, let's go ahead and notify them. We'll save it. And then what you'll see in real time is there's my response right there. Okay. So now let's say we've solved this. One of the things I want to point out here is not just anybody's allowed to close off alerts. The way most departments set this up is either somebody, either the person who set the alert or somebody in an administrative role or position are the only ones who are allowed to close that alert. But again, that's up to you guys, whatever makes the most sense here. So let's go ahead and close this off. I'm going to go ahead and go in and edit this. Here's all my information. Here's my most recent note. The reason it's being closed, we'll just say it's fixed. Maybe we have a receipt that we want to scan in at this time. We can do that. Maybe this is a before and after picture. That damage that we saw earlier, maybe, you know, we have a picture of the before damage, and then as it came back from the repair shop, maybe we're tracking that for insurance purposes. We can do that. Here's where we're going to put a cost factor in. So now the system is going to be able to track all of the costs associated with the maintenance of this vehicle. So we'll go ahead and put our cost in there. We're going to go ahead and close this. Do I want to send notification? Yep, I sure do. I want these people to know that we've handled this. We'll go ahead and save this. And now what's going to happen is this alert is going to be transferred into the back end, into the archives. So you can see right here that alert is gone. All right. If we need to pull up these alerts in the future, if somebody comes in and says, I want to see a history of all the issues on, you know, on engine 1, we can now go up in here into this drop down. And remember, I told you all the modules function very similarly. So here's the access to all of our modules and all of the alerts that are tied to those. But for now, we'll just stay focused on our vehicles. We can go into the alert archive. We can look it up by location, by apparatus. We'll look at engine 1 since that's what we were working on. By category. We can even look it up by who posted it if we want to. Here's where we'll select our date range. Maybe we just want to see for the past month all the alerts set on this vehicle. And we'll view these search results, and what PSTrax is doing right now is it's pulling up a customized report to show us all of the alerts that were ever set on this vehicle between July 1st and today, August 4th, right down here. If we just wanted to see, you know, a quick snapshot, the details of this one from July 8th, we could go into the details here real quickly. We can see all the information. We can see any pictures that were attached. We're also going to know exactly who was made aware of this alert. So we're going to see all the accountability that follows this. If people are looking at this and they're like, no, I don't need to see all this information, please just show me any of the alerts on emergency lights, we'll just say. We can type in our search bar right here, emergency lights. And now what the system has done very clearly is it has brought up any alerts that had to do with the emergency lights. If they're like, that's perfect, I needed to see that, let's do a hard copy. We can drop it into an Excel or PDF, print that off, and then there's your hard copy for those that might need it. I want to go back to our home screen really quickly here and touch on a couple of other things within all of the modules. As I mentioned earlier, you will have the ability to go in the back end and make those changes yourself if you want to. The way you're going to do that is right here, anywhere you see one of these little black drop-down arrows. If you are given admin permission to do so, you're going to be able to go into the back end and make those changes. Again, we'll set that up for you when you identify who those individuals should be. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what that looks like. We'll go ahead and click on this arrow. Now, these first 3 tasks are going to be accessible to anyone, okay? Because we know, especially with as-needed checks. So let's say you've done your checks on your vehicle for the day, you go out on a call, a rock comes through your windshield, now you get back to the station, you've got to do your check and identify that. Or you go out on a call and you have a COVID exposure. And now when you get back to the station, you need to do an as-needed check on your gear, all right? That's where this is going to come in handy for those individuals. However, the remaining ones down here are for anybody that has admin access. So at this point in time, maybe you need to deactivate the schedule that you're looking at, or maybe you need to move this vehicle to reserve status, or maybe you need to move it from station 1 to the maintenance shop. You know, I won't do that now because I've got other colleagues doing demos and they would not appreciate it if I moved that right in the middle of their demo for them. Or maybe you need to manage the apparatus schedule. All right, we can go right in the back here. Now this, again, don't be overwhelmed by this information because this is everything that we're going to set up for you. You give us this information, we're going to put it in. Our team is going to take care of this for you. However, after it's built, if you need to get in here and do it yourselves, you can, all right? So maybe you need to, you know, here's our daily checks that are due. Here's our weekly checks. Got some monthly inventory, SCBA, fuel logs, post-call inventories. All of this information is going to be back here. But let's say you need to get in here and you need to change something about this schedule date for this particular radio, and you need to make that change. You can go right in here and do it yourselves. You can edit the information. You can put additional task details. You can attach links. If you have a barcode set up with this, you can do that. The PSTrax platform does support QR codes and barcoding. So if you need to attach another link, or maybe make this require log notes, or make it a Monday through Friday only check, you will have full access to do that yourselves. Even when we were up here earlier and we did that, you know, check hub oil, there's that video link that's attached. Maybe this is outdated now and you need to remove this and put on a new link. You will have the capability to do that yourselves. But like I mentioned, please, if it's going to take you more than 5 minutes, or you guys are just too busy to do it yourselves, you need to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. We will help you make those changes. I do want to talk about the COVID-19 checklist real quick, all right? This is our newest checklist module. It is included. If you are a current client of ours, this is free to you. This is our gift to you. We based it on the CDC and World Health Organization guidelines. However, we also recognize that many of our agencies and departments have currently tried to make their own internal system. If you have found something that's working for you and you like the way it's functioning, let us know. We'll plug it into the system here. It's as customizable as any of the other modules are for you. So make sure you let us know what you're doing. But I just wanted to touch on this module because it is, we understand and recognize how important it is for you all. I mean, you're trying to stay safe in so many other ways. This is just another level. It's just another level. I talked to a chief about a week ago who was talking about wearing masks. And one of the things that he said was, prevention. There's a reason why, you know, structure fires have decreased over the last 100 years. It's because we figured out how to prevent things from getting out of control. And so it was kind of cool because the reason they're using our COVID checklist is for prevention. And that's it. So I want to share it with you really quickly, just so you can kind of see what this looks like. Again, if you don't currently have it and you're not using something else and you would like this, let Robbie or myself know and we will get this to you. So here's our COVID-19 checklist, all right? Again, it's gonna look just like the vehicle module. We're gonna click into the items that are due here. And the way we've set this up is we wanted to make sure it covered person, place, and things. So basically your crew or your staff, all right, what they're wearing, the vehicles that they're operating, and then the station itself, okay? So that's what we based this on. So you can see here we've got our wellness check, all right? We're gonna, you know, do the simple things, right? Wash your hands, disinfect, check the temperatures before and after every shift or several times through the shift. You can also, even though these have been checked, if you check them, just because they come off the screen, remember that as needed checklist that I showed you later, you can go right back in there and do an as needed check as many times in the day as you need to. We're going to encourage you to include incident numbers, what the incident type is. Here's your vehicle checks, all right, clean and disinfect. Wash them, you know, post-call checklist for your PPE, all right? Who knew that as I look at it now, I hear about PPE more than I've ever heard of, and this is what I do for a living. But to actually hear it on the news or see commercials for PPE or billboards, it's amazing to me. So here's your PPE post-call checklist, all right? Check for contamination, damage, anything missing, okay? So on all of that, your masks and disposable gear. We have several departments that actually have COVID tables in their station set up. If that's how you want us to identify it, that's how we'll do it. Then we have our station checks, all right? So I wanted you to see all this. Again, this is completely customizable though. So if there's some things that you need to add in your station checks that you don't see here, that you want, let us know and we'll put it in for you. All right, we want to make sure that this meets the requirements of your department. So this is a critical checklist. Again, if you don't have it, let us know and we'll get that going for you quickly. So, and you can see how it operates just like the vehicle module, but really quickly. Robbie, before I keep going, did anybody have any comments or questions on the COVID checklist portion?
Not at the moment, Sally. And at this point, I'll open it up to anyone. Just maybe pause here for a few seconds.
And I can get a drink of water.
Yeah, exactly. Give Sally a quick break. It was a pretty thorough walkthrough of it. Again, just to reiterate, this is a free add-on checklist that we add to our current customers. So, and we can also customize it too, just as Sally said. So nothing coming through right now.
Cool. Well, we'll keep plugging away. I'm still watching our time, so I'm going to make sure to at least touch on the other modules. Again, like I said, they all function very similarly. So whether we're talking about our PPE module right here, as a crew member, I would go in to log my gear. Looks very similar, right? So I can go through, I can do my checks, I can set alerts, I can schedule repairs or other actions, take pictures if there's a tear to send off to that vendor, so on and so forth. So as a crew member, just like our vehicles and COVID-19 checklist, but on the back end of PPE, if I'm in charge of PPE, I can now go into the back end as that individual. I can look up our gear by user. I can look it up by shift. I can look it up by gear type or status. All right, for now I'm going to leave it all so you guys can see what this looks like. We'll find this gear, and now what the system has done is it's pulled up all of our gear throughout the department for me to take a look at. I'm going to know exactly where it is. If it's unassigned, maybe it's missing, maybe it's out for repair, what type it is, serial numbers, manufacturer, model, size, cost. We know that you all are dealing with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and gear, millions of dollars in your vehicles alone. We know this, so we want to make sure we're helping you track this. So where is it? You know, has it been put out for repair? What condition is it in? When was the manufacture date? You know, we can even run expiration date reports on this information at this point in time. If I just wanted to do a quick snapshot detail of this particular pair of pants for Linda here, I can click in the details. Now the system's going to take me even further into the back end where I can see all the information attached to it. If there was a maintenance cost at this point, I could see. I can see the full PPE history. I can also log events on this particular, so maybe I need to log a cleaning. All right, I can go in and do that. Maybe I need to log a repair. All right, I've got access to do that on the back end. Maybe I need to reassign it to someone else. So this system is also going to track, you know, if it's come from unassigned and maybe move to a crew member, or maybe move between crew members. You're going to know that. I can change its status. I can retire it at this point in time. All right, that's a quick overview of PPE. PPE, SCBA, and our assets module are all really sister modules. So for SCBA, as crew is going through and checking on the rig, this particular location again, right? Super simple. We wanted this to be very easy. We didn't want each module to look different from the other. They're going to go through, do their checks, set alerts as needed, all right? However, on the back end of SCBA, if that's your baby and that's what you're in charge of, we can go into the gear list. It's going to look very similar to our PPE module. So we can go in, we can look it up by type or status, or serial or ID number, or maybe you're going to use a barcoding and you're going to scan this and that's going to pop that serial ID number in there so you can pull this information up. We can do that, but again, just to show you, we can find this here. And again, here are all the details that you are going to give us and we're going to put in for you. Okay, so again, don't be like, oh, this is a lot of information to put in. Give it to us. That's what we're here for. So we'll see all this information. If you don't have all the information, it doesn't have to all be inputted to set it up. We can always add as we go forward. Okay, so here's all our information, our description, expiration, when's its next hydro, when's its next flow test due. All right, we're going to know all of this information down here, plus expiration dates if I want to reorder this. There, we've got that as well. Same for assets. So they're going to go in. Sorry, There we go. They're going to go in, they're going to do their asset checks wherever those assets are. On the vehicle, for example, they'll go through, is it present? All right. They'll identify that, they'll put their information in, select those items. They're going to do, here it is, do their checks, set their alerts, so on and so forth. On the back end of assets, however, if you're in charge of all of those multi-millions of dollars worth of assets, here you go. This is where you're going to track it. And with our system, there is no limit to the number of assets that you can put in here. All right. It's not like you only get a couple things. We want you to load it all. What is critical to you? What are your high-end dollar items that you need to track? What is grant funded? What's been a donation? We want you to enter this in here. So we can go in here and just some of the examples of things that you can see. I mean, look at drones. Really? Who knew? Drones, hydrants, hoses, monitors, all of this information. These are some examples of the most popular items that we're actually tracking for people. All right. So again, we'll find that. Again, looks just like PPE and SCBA down here, right? Here's all of our information, our description, manufacturer, cost, serial numbers, all of our information, sources. Was this a grant funded item? Was it a donation? Address, this is for tracking hydrants, all right? So if you are tracking hydrants and you need those locations, we're gonna be able to do that for you as well within this system. Manufacture date, acquisition date, when does it expire, when was it last logged, has it moved? Radios are constantly moving. This is going to be able to track that for you as we go through that as well. It was a quick overview of assets. I know we're going through a lot of information, everybody, so bear with me. The last thing that I do want to touch on is the controlled substance module. This is super high level, all right? I have said this time and time again. If this is something you're interested in, I would really encourage you to reach out to us and set up a demo specifically on this one. It does look a little bit different than the other modules. Oh, and the station module looks just like the vehicle module. Real quick, so you can track your station supplies, station chores, EMS supplies, all of that can be tracked underneath the station module. But let's really quickly go into the controlled substance module. First and foremost, this is going to be very specific to who sees it, all right? So if you have anybody in your department that is not supposed to be seeing the controlled substance module, we can give them no access. There are different levels of access to that. So they would have no access. They will not see it on their home screen. They will not see it in the drop-down. Medic access is going to be the people that are going to be allowed to do the checks, ongoing, offgoing, administer those medications. Then you're going to have a medic admin person. That person's going to be able to make changes within the system. That way, if you go out on a call, you didn't have time to do the check right then and there, so you did it when you got back to the station. Well, now the time is different. That person's actually going to be able to make changes to the date, time, things like that. And then you have a full admin access who's going to have access to everything. So let's touch on the controlled substance real quick. We're going to go in to do some checks here. All right. So we're going to see our controlled substance check area here. Here's our most recent activity. We can see that the most recent log was done by Nathan at 8:33 yesterday morning, and we haven't had any activity since then. So let's go ahead and let's do an arriving check. And let's select our unit. We're going to work with our Medic 1 drug box. We'll begin our check. It's going to ask us to do some documenting of what we have. Continue. Now, because it's a controlled substance module, it's going to ask us to double check what we just did. So yes, everything is present. I'm going to go ahead and mark through these. We'll continue. And then we have a third check. So everything looks good. Everything is present. If we have any comments or notes at this point, we can do that. Here we can go ahead and do our signature. This is a terrible signature. I'm using a mouse. So pretend like you're using your finger or a stylus, and it will not look like that. And then you can go ahead. The releasing medic will be there. We'll go ahead and put his name in there. Yay, Scott. We'll finish this. And we've just done an ongoing check. All right. And we can see right here is our most recent activity. All right. So everything that I just did is going to show up here. But now let's say we're going to go out on a call and we're going to use something. We're going to go out on our medic, begin our check. All right, now this is as customizable as the other modules. All right, so right here we've got our reasons for removal. We've got a used, expired, broken, or other. This is great in case, you know, like if you drop a vial, it gets crushed, you can take a picture, alert immediately the appropriate people of what's going on. We had another department just recently ask us to put a box here that said stolen, because apparently that's a problem for them. Scary, but true. So, but again, right now we're just going to use something. Let's say we use 1 fentanyl. We'll continue. It's going to ask us which one we're using. So let's just go ahead and pick one. Remember, red highlighted box means we're going to have to fill this information in. Okay, that's how we've set it up on our demo site. So let's say our incident number is 54545. We've used half of this quantity, which means we wasted half of it. That's going to now be tracked within the system. If you're required to use an EPCR number, you can put that in. These are just some of the things we've seen that are most popular. Maybe you need to do a patient wait. You know, you could put that information in there as well. Maybe the officer on scene wants you to put some notes in there, and you know, you just want to put, you know, patient was transferred to Denver General Hospital. We can put that in there, or maybe they want you to attach a picture of the accident. Maybe the hospital is giving you something that you want to scan in here. We can do that at this time as well. Here again is our horrible signature. And let's say Dr. Smith was the one that witnessed this. We'll log the event. It's going to ask if we're using a vial being removed from stock. Yes, we are. And now what we'll see right here in our recent activities, we started with 2 fentanyl. We've used 1 on this call number, so we can go ahead and go in there, get a quick snapshot of it, all right, see what's going on. If we need to print this off for any reason, we can. But now what you're going to see here in yellow is it's notifying us that we are now below par. All right, so we need to get this back up to par before we go out on our next call, if at all possible. So let's restock real quickly. So I'm going to go right in here. I'm going to restock. We're going to restock our medic. We'll begin. It's going to ask us to select our source. Most people are going to pull from a drug vault, but again, everybody does it, you know, based on what their policies are. So we'll do that. We're going to go ahead and pick 1 fentanyl from our drug vault. Here's our list of what we have. So let's go through. We'll just pick this one. Do our signature. Our witness might be Dave. Oops, sorry about that. Log this event. And now you'll see right here, we're back up to par. All right. We did not go over all the different reports that PSTrax offers. That, again, deserves much more time than I can give it. But on all of the modules, you can run expiration date reports, cost reports. You can run, you know, miles and logs, out of service reports. You can run, you know, cleaning reports, air fill tests. All of these reports you can run through PSTrax. Chances are, if there's a report that you need, we have probably made it for a department or for an agency. So be thinking ahead of time what would be most important for you guys. Those reports are as easy as going in. I'll just show you really quickly under vehicles and logs. We can go into our logs and reports. Here's our logs. Here's our custom reports, just so you can see some of the ones. We've got EMS supplies, SCBA locations, a mileage report, a fuel log. All of these are just examples. This is not the limit to the type of reports you can run on this module, but I just wanted you to see, you know, if you needed a fuel log report, you know, from back, you know, a month ago, you're able to pull these reports as well. So I just wanted to show that to you real quickly. There is so much more to be covered. I'm watching our time and I want to be respectful. Again, you can attach training resources, pictures, lists. All of our modules, we talked about our vehicles, we talked about our SCBA, PPE, critical assets, controlled substance, and station modules. At this point, I do want to open it up, Robbie. Did anybody else have any questions at all at this point in time that I could answer?
Nothing right now at this time, Sally. And we'll kind of, I'll speak here just for a moment. And if anyone has any final questions, we'd be more than happy to answer those. I'm going to put our emails as well in the chat section right now. And Sally, why don't we just touch really quickly on pricing too on the modules?
Oh, absolutely. It is very specific to each individual department. All right. So I will say that as far as pricing goes, it is per module. Okay, with the exception, of course, of the COVID-19, that is free. If you are interested in specific pricing for your department or agency, let us know, because we do break it down by like vehicle, by station, things like that. And we want to make sure to get you the most appropriate pricing that would meet your needs. Just as with everything else that we do, is pretty customizable. So if you are interested in pricing at all, please reach out to me, reach out to Robbie, and we'll be happy to get you some more information specific to what you need for your department.
And one more question, Sally, just popped in is how long does it take for us to build and roll this out for crews?
Oh, thank you for asking. Excellent. Yeah. So what I let people know is what we do is we take all of your information, like I said, in whatever format you have. Once you get that to us, our build team can start working on that. This is dependent on a couple of different things. Number one, how many modules are we building for you? If we're doing one module and you are a single or double station department, we can do that pretty quickly. If it's a little bit larger build, it might take us a little bit longer. I always err on the side of caution. What I tell people is once we get your checklist, once we get everything that you want us to input for you, it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to build from that point. Sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit longer, but that's usually a best guess on our end. It's about 6 to 8 weeks once we get all of your information in. Yeah, good question.
One more on top of that too, Sally. And again, thank you for the questions. When they provide their documents that we're going to upload, what format do we prefer that they're in?
Well, obviously, it would be nice if it was in some sort of, a PDF format or an Excel. That's in a perfect world. I've had departments send me photocopies of check sheets that they've been using since the 80s that they've been handwriting. So we will take any format. If you do send us things that are handwritten, do understand we're going to be calling you a lot because sometimes you guys have doctor handwriting. So if you do send it to us in that format, by all means we'll work with it. But if you can get it to us in a little bit of a cleaner format, that would be preferred. Good question. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Anything else? I see you looking intently, Robbie. Is anybody else saying anything?
No, I think that's it, Sally. We'll close it up here. And again, thank you so much to everyone for joining us. We will send you a recording of this if you'd like to share it with anyone else in your department. Again, this is on Facebook Live too. We archive it on there as well. And hey, one more just quick thing is for those of you who are current PSTrax customers, is we always prefer you invite people to our webinars, and we call that our introductions. We love being introduced to other neighboring departments. If you're
Absolutely.
a raving fan of PSTrax and you'd like to share it, we sure do appreciate your testimonial. So again, thank you everyone for being here and joining Sally, and we'll hopefully see you again soon. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks everybody so much. Stay safe and stay healthy, and let us know if we can do anything for you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.